In this lesson, we're going to graph the following using a graphing calculator and find the vertex and the roots. Roots is a new vocabulary word, which means where the graph crosses the x. So let's go ahead and graph this equation. So as you see here, when I've graphed this, we'll go back to what the graph looks like, and I've sketched it here. So we see our vertex clearly. The vertex is right here is at 0, 0. And we know the vertex means the turn in the graph. It turns at 0, 0. The roots, in order to determine what the roots is where it crosses the x. Okay, so you see here, the roots is where it crosses the x, so it crosses the x is at the point 0, 0. So the vertex is 0, 0, and the roots is 0, 0 for this one. So in this picture, we see the vertex. It's where it turns, and it turns at 0, -4. And the roots is the x, where the graph crosses the x here. And it crosses at two places, which is -2, 0, and it also crosses it at 2, 0. Okay, number 5, I've already graphed it. And there's two different ways you can complete number 5 to find the roots and to find the vertex, which is the two things we need. I'll move this out of the way. So first of all, what is a vertex? So we can go to our calculator and you can go to your second graph, find the table, and where do you see that your x is 0? Yes, here, 0, -6. So you go down here and you graph. This is a vertex. It's blue this time. So I have -6 is where we turn in the graph. So to determine our roots, we're going to do it a little differently because the equation is in a different form as before. So the way we have to do the roots now is in our graph, we have to set one of the graphs, these illustrate different graphs, to equal 0. Y equals 0, and also y equals this equation. So by doing that, we can calculate our roots, and our roots is where it crosses the x, by going to second trace, and we want to know where it crosses it at 0. So we're going to highlight 0 and hit enter. Now we're going to let the calculator do the work. So we need to make sure the cursor is on the graph right here. So we're going to left arrow to bring the cursor up the graph till it's a little above the x-axis. And we mark our spot by hitting enter. Then we go down below the x-axis. So we're just centering in. We want to figure out what that point is right there and hit enter. That's the right bound. And this is where the calculator is just taking a guess. This is about what it is the calculator is telling us. So once you hit enter one more time, it shows you this is the exact point where y is 0 and x is -2. So our root for this one is -2, 0. And I guess you can say you can go to the table and see it, and and sometimes you can. But let's look at this is another way of finding the root. So let's find the root to the other side. Okay, so we're going to go over to the other side of the equation, which you can use okay, we're going to stay on the graph. We got to stay on the graph. Go all the way around. Let me start over. So we're going to go to second trace. We're going to go to our 0 point, enter. So now we're going to have to go all the way down to the other side. And now we're marking our points. We always go a little bit above the X and we mark the point. So the calculator is trying to measure that point. So then we're going to go a little below the X so the calculator can measure where it's going to cross. And hit enter. Okay, I didn't go quite far enough. Let me just try it one more time. So we're going to go back here to the graph and we're going to go second, trace, 0. So we're going to be a little bit above. It's a little bit too much right there. Enter, that's left bound. And we're going to go a little bit below. Enter, it's measuring it. It's right bound. Maybe I should have gone a little bit more. And then we're going to hit enter again. Okay, let's go back to my measuring. I'm second trace is 0. Then I'm going to hit enter. And so what you need to do is you start from the bottom on this side. That's why I was getting an error. So a little bit below the graph and hit enter. Then we go a little bit above this arrow of the graph and hit enter and enter again. And you see that the root is 3, 0. So it's two roots. It crosses it in two places. So we have to mark both. So this one says it's at 3, 0. And the vertex we determined, let's look at our vertex. We haven't looked at that yet. So we're going to do similar. Remember our vocabulary words? Okay. So when we're going as far as the parabola, so to know the vertex here, this parabola graphs a min or a max. It graphs a minimum. So that's where we have to go in the calculator, second trace. So instead of 0 to find our vertex, we have to go down to minimum and hit enter. Now using our little ticker, we're going to measure. Went the wrong way. Here we go. Down. Go down. Here we go. Right over here. So we're going to go down left arrow. Let's go to the left, a little bit to the left of the turn and hit enter. Then a little bit to the right of the turn and hit enter. Now you see these two triangles. It's like measuring what is the exact turn. So we see here the minimum is x is 0.5 or 1/2 and y is a negative 6.25, or you can say negative 6 1/4. So we can put it in a decimal if you would like. So if you have x is negative 1/2, let's just write it in a fraction, it's a little bit easier. And y is negative 6 1/4. So you know 0.25 is 1/4. And you know in the calculator you can change decimals to fractions, and I'll show you that in another recording.